A man named Victor Frankenstein enters the scene as the story begins. He is a medical student with big dreams for his future. One night, he goes to a circus to watch a beautiful girl perform. Unfortunately, the girl falls from a height during her act and sustains a serious injury. There is also a character named Igor, who has a hunched back and struggles to walk properly. Igor is attracted to the girl and notices that she is having trouble breathing after the fall. Due to his knowledge of human anatomy, Igor understands her condition and knows how to help her. Despite not having a degree, Igor has studied extensively and is like a doctor in his own right. He manages to save the girl and restore her breathing. Victor Frankenstein is amazed by what he witnesses and approaches Igor to ask how he did it. Igor explains that he has read numerous books on the subject. Victor is impressed and tells Igor that he is wasting his talents at the circus. He invites Igor to come with him and promises to change his life. However, the ringmaster, who owns the circus, overhears their conversation and becomes furious. He cages Igor and threatens to hand him over to the police if he tries to escape. The ringmaster claims that all of Igor's knowledge was gained through stolen books and warns that the police will not hesitate to arrest him. Sometime later, Victor Frankenstein arrives at the circus and sets out to free Igor from his cage. They are pursued by other people in the circus, but Victor manages to bring Igor safely to his house, hiding from prying eyes. Once they reach the house, Victor immediately tends to Igor's hunched back, using interjections and medicine to drain the pus. In order to restore his body posture, Igor has made a full recovery. He is now able to stand on his own backbone for the first time. On the other hand, there is a police officer investigating the disappearance of Igor in a local murder case. Victor informs Igor about his experiment called Reversal of Death, where he can bring back the dead. He explains that he needs to do a great job and Igor will assist him. Victor also shows Igor a container with human eyes, which come to life when electricity is passed through them. Being smarter, Igor notices a mistake Victor made and informs him that he forgot to attach the eye's nerves. Victor is pleased with Igor's correction and becomes even more impressed with him. He then hires Igor as his assistant. As time passes, they revive the organs of dead animals, with the goal of creating a giant chimpanzee with different organs. This creature will be nothing short of a monster, as they aim to advance science. After their work, Victor and Igor attend a party where Igor encounters the same pretty girl he saw at the circus earlier. Although the girl doesn't recognize him, Igor is still in love with her. Victor advises Igor to stay away from her, as she will distract him from his work. They return to their house where the chimpanzee is introduced for the first time. It is chained up and connected to various electric wires. The time has come to pass electricity through the chimpanzee to revive it. Igor is initially confused, but he relaxes when he sees the dead chimpanzee start to move. This means that their experiment has been successful. The next day, Victor Frankenstein takes the chimpanzee to his university to showcase his scientific achievements. Little obstacles arise as the chimpanzee starts to become aggressive, attacking from side to side as it comes back to life. Unfortunately, it begins to harm people, so Victor is forced to kill his own creation, the chimpanzee. As a result, Victor is expelled from the university due to his unconventional methods. Not only that, but his classmates, who come from aristocratic backgrounds, offer to fund his experiments and ask him to create an artificial humanoid for them. They want a creature that can be controlled and assist them in various endeavors, or they are willing to offer him a large sum of money. Interestingly, Igor, who doesn't want to work for them, is overlooked as Victor accepts the offer from his aristocratic classmates. Victor has given Igor a new lease on life by curing his hunchback, so Igor feels indebted to him and agrees to collaborate. The following day, the police officers return to Victor's house to investigate the case, as they were aware of the chimpanzee revival attempt at the university. Although they don't have a search warrant, Victor allows them to search the house, but they leave disappointed. During this time, Igor meets a circus girl whom he admires, and she warns him to stop Victor from conducting further experiments, fearing he will create another monster. They spend a lot of time together, and when Igor sees the police officers and their workers breaking down the door, he rushes back to the house. Entering through another door, he urges Victor to escape, informing him that their classmate investor has found a way for them to flee. However, Victor refuses to leave and instead starts destroying the machinery in the house. Meanwhile, a police officer bursts into the scene, brandishing his gun in an attempt to halt their actions. However, they refuse to comply, leading to a heated argument between the police officer and Victor. After a fierce quarrel, Victor shoves the officer, causing his hand to become trapped in the large, toothed machinery. As a result, the officer's hand is severed, leaving him handicapped. On the other side, both Victor and the police officer go to their friend who has provided funding for their project, who is waiting in a carriage. Their friend investor hands them more money and instructs them to continue working on his project, the creation of an artificial human. Due to safety concerns, the investor suggests that they relocate from Scotland to his ancestral bungalow, where they can work in peace and secrecy. Victor decides to heed the investor's advice and leaves for Scotland to continue his project. Meanwhile, the aristocratic investor pays a visit to Igor as Victor departs. He reveals his sinister plan to eliminate Victor once the experiment is successful, and to use the artificial human as a weapon under his control. The investor explains that the artificial human will be bulletproof and unstoppable, obeying only his commands. After sharing his intentions, Igor is thrown into the water with his hands and feet bound. Struggling to free himself, Igor manages to resurface and save his own life. Once he escapes, he seeks out the circus girl and urgently informs her about the danger Victor is in. Together, they set off for Scotland to warn Victor about the impending threat to his life. Upon their arrival, Igor discloses everything to Victor, emphasizing the danger he is facing. Despite being aware of the risks, Victor insists on continuing the experiment, driven by his guilt over his brother's death during a past storm. He hopes to bring his elder brother back to life through this experiment. As time passes, the investor and police officers also make their way to Scotland, closing in on Victor and his project. As Victor conducts his experiment, a surge of electricity is generated, causing widespread destruction. Chaos ensues as everything starts to crumble, and their machine explodes. Tragically, the explosion claims the life of the investor. The police officer points an accusing finger at Victor, blaming him for all the destruction. In the midst of the conversation, the monstrous creation Victor brought to life begins to stir. Victor can't help but feel a surge of excitement, believing his experiment to be a success. Attempting to communicate with the monster, Victor is met with silence. The monster remains motionless, standing in one spot. Its menacing appearance sends shivers down the police officer's spine, filling him with fear. In a moment of panic, the police officer draws his gun and shoots at the monster. The creature writhes in pain, retaliating by attacking and killing the officer. Subsequently, the monster turns its attention to Victor and Igor, engaging them in a fierce battle that leaves them injured. Finally, through their combined efforts, Victor and Igor manage to defeat the monster. In the end, Victor is shown sitting by the seashore, contemplating his actions. He writes a letter to Igor, granting him permission to meet the girl they had previously forbidden him from seeing. In the letter, Victor asks for forgiveness, acknowledging Igor's continuous warnings that he had ignored. The movie concludes with this scene. Thanks for watching. Please don't forget to subscribe, like and comment. It will take 1 second of you, but a great milestone for us.